kid, I was at church literally 5 times a week. I was there every time the door was open. So I heard every sermon there was preached. I heard every Sunday school lesson that was taught. And there was just nothing, utter silence about helping us understand what was going on, why all of a sudden were these kids showing up that we didn't know and that didn't live in our neighborhoods. No one helped us understand because the neighborhoods, of course, were segregated. The most shocking thing is that I was in my 20s, actually, so past my teen years, and in seminary, where I was actually went there studying to go into the ministry. And before I ever heard even the origin story of our own denomination, and that is that in 1845, the Southern Baptist Convention was formed when the Northern and Southern Baptists had a rift over whether someone could be a clergy person and enslave other human beings for appointment to be a missionary. And the Southern churches said, fine, we think, and actually formed a new denomination explicitly to make, someone who was going to be appointed the minister of the gospel and enslaving other human beings at the same time, that this could actually be perfectly compatible and approved, Christian practice, and that person could be an exemplar for the congregation. And I didn't know that story until I was in my early 20s at seminary, when I finally had a Baptist, professor of history tell me the straight story. So this has all been very submerged. And look at the two other white kind of denominational families in the U.S. are white mainline Protestant churches. That's where sort of the descendants of Anglicanism, the Episcopalian Church sits there, the Methodist Church, Presbyterians, the like. And these churches are really more anchored geographically in the U.S., not in the South, but in the Midwest and the Northeast. So they're outside of that kind of Southern cultural kind of corridor. And also white Catholicism, which is, in the U.S. a more urban faith, less rural, and also more Northeast.
And why is that? I mean, is it that there is actually teaching and preaching in these churches and theology in these churches which supports white supremacy, or is it something a bit more subtle?
Well, it's a little both. I think there is kind of overt things that are said. I think there are also, but I think what the bigger thing is that, these churches have inherited, and I think this is the bigger point, that the churches have inherited across the board a theology that was built to be, by design, originally built to be compatible with white supremacy. And it has really not been reformed in any significant way. So even if they're not explicitly preaching sermons that you might have heard, even into the 1960s, that were talking about, the origin story of African Americans being in the story of Cain and Abel, right, where Cain murders his brother Abel, and God, the scripture says that God placed a mark on Cain as punishment, but it doesn't say anything about race. But white theologians and clergy interpreted that to be the origin story of African Americans and other people of color in the world. So it meant that white people could trace their origin story, right, to Adam and Eve and this kind of great story, and people of color trace their origins to a murder.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Recha HaKwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Honors also to you other brethren, you followers of the truth, supporters of the truth. Shalom to you few sisters. Shalom mainly to the elect. Anyway, it seems that upon me doing some more research, which some brothers may have already known, but I look at these panelists that talk about white Christianity because there's an attack on being a Hebrew Israelite. So I said, well, let's go more into the Christian doctrine, the Christian way. And what we found is that Christianity promotes more of a Mormonism. Christianity and Mormonism is pretty much similar. Now, Mormons believe, if I'm not mistaken, Nephi or something like that, the 5th chapter. I haven't went over that in years. I believe it's Nephi, the 5th chapter, that says that we were cursed black. But it's also, now I'm finding out, with doing further research, these theologians, anytime you go to the theologian seminary school, they all pretty much believed that the African Americans were cursed to be black. Also, they've also taught that this is why we were brought into slavery, and we was meant to be served slavery because of the curse of God. Not for being an Israelite, but because of going against Abel. And they claim to be able. So what they're saying is everybody on the earth was so-called white. And the Israelites, right, were white. Or before even the Israelites, the people of God were white. And then you had, everybody was white. And then with the story of Ham, he became cursed, which Ham didn't really get the curse. It was the Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But ultimately, rolling back through, he would have been cursed anyway. So Ham got the curse, but Ham in the lineage, Cain was cursed and was cursed black. That was the mark. And I'll prove in a video that which we all notice in the truth. But I'll go also into the blue letter and show you that the blue letter kind of know, right? Let's go there real quick. But first, let's go to Psalms 91. This is looking at the live stream of the Elder Apostles, and Elder Zachariah brought out the fact that, which we know through the past, brothers know to read Psalms 91, but it's really good to read that. Sometimes you have to be reminded to that. Let me go on 91:8. Only with thine eyes shall thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Right? A reward doesn't always mean a good thing. A reward just means simply, having something added upon. Right? Let's go to reward. Let me look that up, just to be on the safe side. I mean, you got the scriptures that says the wicked will be rewarded. Every man will get rewarded to their good deeds or bad deeds. When you go into the Merriam, it's really to recompense, means payback, right? To give something to by the way of compensation, as for a service rendered, damaged, and cured. So whatever you did has to be done back. Okay, anyway, now we got that out of the way. Let's go to let me see here. Let's go to Genesis, just to go into that a little bit, to show you. Genesis 4. I know it's around Genesis 4. Let me go to 10. 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel, thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Right? And this is the Most High already had him in the trick bag anyway. And it says, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Right? And when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall thou be in the earth. We can see this in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Right? A fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. It says, where it says, Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, where it says, he taketh the world by blood, where it goes into the vision is appointed. I think in the book of Habakkuk, it says the vision is for a appointed time. Let me get that real quick, because I don't quite remember exactly everything it says, but it will bring it to light of this man and who he is. Verse 2, Habakkuk 2:2. And the Lord answered me and said, write a vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run and readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it surely come to pass. It will surely come, it will not tarry. This man will go down. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by the faith, his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot, right? Cain, right? And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth to him all people, right? So this man represents that, okay? This man you see today. But what they tried to say is this is all black people were cursed. This tells you that they took our writings and tried to switch everything and say it was them. And I'll get to an article as well that go into that. Let's go here. Let's go to Numbers. Let's go to Numbers just to show you the curses. Okay? It says here, and you know, you could read the whole story with Moses and his older brother Aaron. Okay? It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against them. Right? Talking about against them, talking about Aaron and Miriam. And he departed, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam and said, behold, she is leprous. Right? Remember the old story with Moses, and he put his hand in his bosom and he pulled it out and it was white? Okay? And he put it back, it was the other flesh. And Aaron said unto Moses, this is what Aaron said to Moses, alas, my Lord, I call to thee, beseech thee, mean to call to thee. So this is Aaron speaking to Moses, because there was an order set up. The Most High was working with Moses, even though Aaron was the older brother. I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us. So to be leprous by process of elimination is to be cursed white, so-called white, because nobody's white. Now, where did they get the curse black from? This is why they'll go into Jeremiah 14, which we have went into, and it said, my skin is black, is burnt upon me, representing the coals. But this is talking about something totally different. It is talking about visage as well, but something totally different, dealing with blackness of coals, right? I've never seen nobody turn black, right, from any kind of trauma. Nobody turns black, right? So these people, what they're trying to do is they managed to switch everything and said that we were cursed black. This is white supremacy at its worst. And this explains why they took us and brought us, they accepted bringing us into slavery, because they knew, in a sense, we were cursed from the Most High. We were the cursed people. We had to be those cursed people. But what they try to cover up is that these were the Most High's people. So let's say we were white, which we wasn't, and the Most High cursed us black. Well, that means we were meant to be so-called black anyway, because that would mean that we would be transformed and changed to something greater. This is why your bread is dark, your sugar should be dark, your flour should be darker. They bleach it. This is why you have angel food, white cake, devil's food, black cake. You see what they do, man. White just represents purity. And it says, and Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, heal her now, O God, I beseech thee. Right? So it went from the Most High on through Moses to her. Right? And then back up the chain of events. And the Lord said unto Moses, right, if her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut up from the camp 7 days. After that, he left her and received it again. Right? And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. So this is clear. So when we go into this word white, there's no definition in this topic, in this paragraph or this verse. Miriam became leprous white. You know why it says that? You know why there's no definition? Because it wasn't a good thing. This is why you'll see a definition that'll say 1A, B, C, D. This is why Gentiles can mean two different things. I believe these are called homographs or homophones. It's words that spell the same, sound the same, look the same, but they have different meanings. This leprous had nothing to do with purity or something good. We'll get more proof on that. We'll go to Genesis. We'll show you another definition of white in the Bible. Genesis 49:12. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Right? Now, when we go down here and it says white, H3836, it says, which white meaning is? It just says white. Right? It just says white. That's all it says. So now, when we go over here to Lamentations, Lamentation 4 verse 7, her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. So now this is where they also try to tie in all the Israelites, the original people of God, were white. Okay? But we can go into the text. Now it says here, whiter than milk. H2461. Wait a minute. This is a total different white. Well, there's no text for white in this other context. Right? There's no text for white in this other context. But when you go in here in Genesis, there's a text for white. But Lamentation, it says H2461. These are three different kind of whites. Let's see what it says here. H2461. Let's see what it says real quick. It says milk, like it could be milk, abundance of land, white, right? It's actually describing white. But when you go on up, whiter, well, no, I said white. Sorry. 86705, Salakia. This is a different white, 86705. So let's see what this white says. It says to be dazzling, to be a glow, to glow. So this white is a totally different, it means to be dazzling, to look beautiful. Had nothing to do with the actual color. So why is this white in Lamentations different than the white in Genesis, which is different from the white in Numbers? We got three different whites going on here. Because that white is representing, they couldn't put purity in that verse because it represented leprous. So what is the curse? Definitely not being so-called black. The curse is actually the total opposite. Okay? Let's get this article here. I don't know where the heck this from, but I'm going to just read some of it. It says, the alleged curse of Ham and the mark of Cain deemed the African race distinctive and gained force through their appeal to be ultimate to an ultimate faith, God's word in the Bible. If God made Africans different, see how they threw that? It didn't make us different. Right? There's more than just African people that got color, man. Anyway, so all the races on the planet, they were the curse because they got dark skin or brown skin. In this minority race, right, to be honest, they were the chosen vessels of God. Get out of here, man. Anyway, if God made Africans different, no human act could reverse the curse and the mark. The result was a widespread white belief, in fact, that Ham was the ancestor of all Africans. Now we can go with this in most in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, and even other facts sources prove Shem, Ham, and Japheth were all colored, so-called colored people. So where did they get that from? So the Africans are from Ham, but what about the other nations? Right? But they're from Judah. Get out of here. When the scriptures clearly say that the Israelites, Job 30 and 30 is one. Come on, man. It also says the result was the widespread white belief, in fact, that Ham was the ancestor of all Africans. Even though Jesus, the one you call Jesus, John the Revelator is describing as being so-called black. And you Christians, I'm talking about you Jakes, or you ones that want to follow this Christianity, you are in support of this kind of behavior, man. That's why they always going to look at you like that. Ham was the ultimate representative of the heathen, as Sylvester Johnson puts it, because the fundamental fact is of racial origin rendered blacks the descendants of Ham. This is what vocab and them believe. I believe they teach that. This is what most of these Christians believe. But there's no evidence or proof of that. And in fact, the evidence proves that the Israelites, the Negroes, were descendants from Shem. And they're descendants from Shem as well. But we were descendants from Shem. Okay? Remember, that's why it was two dark nations. It was all about nations. So it wasn't Ham selling Ham, although our people was adopting to that. That many northern and few southern white Christians argue that all were equal in God's eyes, rendering slavery illicit, did not require equality before American law. In this view, the reputed curse of Ham and the mark of Cain still marked African Americans as inferior, thus abolishing the support of black equal rights were not necessarily one and the same. So they made a reason, they made an excuse. They made an excuse just to continue to oppress us and keep us in slavery. Not surprisingly, ideas about whiteness and its inherent superiority developed alongside Christian arguments for slavery and black inferiority. So in the time of Christianity, what the Christians taught, what white Christians taught, is we were supposed to be slaves. We are a curse from God, which technically we were under a curse. But they will not admit that we were the chosen people, and they are under a curse with that, having that melanin stripped. But they were in power in order to serve the purpose of our curse, right? So when you go back to Genesis, the 4th chapter, and he said, I shall be a vagabond, and I'll basically put out, I'll be hunted and put away. We can go to Job 30 and verse 4. It says, who cut up mellows by the bushes and the juniper roots for their meat, right? They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as a thief, to dwell in the clefts of the rocks, and the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks among the bushes they brayed, and under the nettles they were gathered together, right? You know how they talked and how their mannerism. They were children of fools, yea, they were children of base men. Base mean low, like a basement, right? They were viler than the earth. Okay? This is clear. So I just wanted to, I'm not going to go too much on this. I just wanted to go into the fact that this was the whole agenda to have a reason to further put us in slavery, right? Put us in slavery, and use the fact of the curse of Cain to do that. And this is why these Christians, it all makes sense, why they call us the Hamites or sub-Saharan Africans. That's what they want you to be, so they can have an excuse to continue to push their agenda. And Vocab Malone and these guys, not just him, but various other Christians, these jakes, they don't understand what's going on. This is all part of the agenda. They want you to remain a curse. As long as they can keep you in that church or keep you away from the Bible in general, you'll remain under that curse. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.